So we have y equals x plus 2, and we're going to create coordinate pairs for arbitrary values of y and x. Let me just have -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. The first step, I'm going to take -2, plug it in for x. So -2 plus 2, I would get 0. Plug in -1 for x, -1 plus 2, I get 1. Plug in 0, 0 plus 2 is 2. Plug in 1, 1 plus 2 is 3. Plug in 2, 2 plus 2 is 4. I want to write this in a coordinate pair notation. A coordinate pair is simply the pair of x and y put within parentheses. Coordinates or points, they mean one and the same. So we have -2, 0, always x first, followed by y. -1, 1, 0, 2, 1, 3, and 2, 4. And those are the coordinate points corresponding the 5 x values that we arbitrarily created. So we are going to take the coordinates that we created and put it on the graph. So x is negative and y is positive, which would simply mean it has to be in the second quadrant. But you've got to be careful because y is 0. If y is 0, the point has to lie on the x-axis. If x is 0, the point has to lie on the y-axis. So -2, 0, and that will be our point. -1, +1, x is negative, y is positive, so second quadrant. X is 0, y is 2, so it has to lie on the y-axis, y equals 2. X is 1, y is 3, so it has to lie on the first quadrant because both of them are positive. X is 2 and y is 4, both of them are positive, so it has to lie right over there. If we connect the dots, we can see that simply is a line. So whatever we did here manually, we want to do it using the calculator. Doing it manually is perfectly fine, but you're working hard. We can work smart by using the calculator. So I'm going to use my calculator over here. Oh, come on. Okay, so how to graph. So the very first step is to enter the equation. You can enter the equation y equals x plus 2. the button on the top left corner. Press the blue button that says second and press mode, and it would evaluate the function that's in blue, which says quit. So once I enter the equation, I quit, exit out from that mode. We created a table with arbitrary values of x. When you do the homework or on an exam, you may want to do this for several values of x or decimal values of fractional values of x. So to make that easier, you can press second window, the second button on the top from the on the left. You will get a table set up. I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did manually. You can leave the table start as is. You can leave the change in table as is. Independent variable. The independent variable is the x variable. The dependent variable is the y variable. So I'm going to switch the independent variable to ask by hitting the arrow followed by enter. Leave the independent variable setting as is, press second mode, exit out. Now I'm going to go back, press second, hit graph, the button on the top right corner. You will see a table, and I'm going to use the values of x that I used earlier. So -2, -1, 1, 2. I forgot 0, so 0. So -2, -1, boards bring me, 0, 1, 2. And those are the values that we had earlier when we created the values manually. So you can see they match up 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the calculator gives us the same thing. So that is the advantage of having the calculator, and it comes very handy if you have a lengthier equation. You don't want to evaluate it manually. You can just put the equation in the calculator and let the calculator do the work. So you can do second mode to quit. Now I'm going to hit graph. And that is my line. So you can see that line is created for a whole lot of values from -10 all the way up to +10. But in our example, we simply went from -2 up to +2. I can change this setting by pressing window, second button on the top from the left, but instead of pressing second followed by window, I'm simply pressing the window button. So -2 is where I started, +2 is where I ended. And my values, the y values, they do not exceed 4. The 5 values that I've picked for x give me y values that do not exceed 4. So I can adjust the y values and say the smallest value has to be 0, the highest value 5. And if I graph that, that is the line that we drew. Did the screen change on your side when I moved from the window to, oh man. Okay, so it's just going in and out for some reason. Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, it says you are sharing screen.
Okay, cool, awesome. For a minute there, it stopped. Something's wrong with the connection. So once I adjust the window, give me a second. So once I adjust the window over here, I have -2, 2, and 1 for x. And the y values 0, 5, and 1. And graph that, and that would correspond to what we had earlier. So what we drew between -2 and 2 is what we see here. In most cases in this class, we would go from -10 to +10 for the x values, and y -10 to +10 for the y values. That's typical and that's good enough.